I think it's on now. Let's try that again. Hey guys, welcome to Real Talk Tuesday. My name is Crystal Kiefer, and I'm an artist, writer, and photographer. And my mission here is to bring truth, light, and encouragement to as many women as possible, helping them to realize who they are and allow them to tell their story while leaving them ridiculously hopeful for tomorrow. And through my art, I really wanted to convey the message that women, you are somebody, and I want to help you peel back the layers and break up with the lies that you believed so that you can rise up and become the woman that God has created you to be. And to really just bring joy to your life, bring color to your life, to make your life a little bit more colorful and happy and just special. Anyways, it's Real Talk Tuesday. It's a beautiful day outside. Actually, I think it might be about to storm here. Today's topic is, and I think I forgot because I've been struggling with, not really struggling, I've been seeking the Lord and asking Him, what do you want me to talk about today? Like, what are we talking about today? And I got nothing. Got nothing. I had a few things that kind of came by, and then my phone rang, and then something else happened. I got it now. He just told me. What have you laid down? What have you laid down? He was showing me that so many times as people that exist on this earth, as His children, He's put special things inside of us. He's given us special gifts. He's given us lots of things, and we have laid them down. And He wants us to pick them up. I was talking to one of my good friends yesterday, and we were talking about artists, and she had gone to a gallery, and she taught with this other artist about it's like this method of the three brushes, and I thought it was really intriguing, where your hairbrush, your toothbrush, and your paintbrush, and you set them all out to use them daily. And I was like, okay, we use the brush every day, we use our toothbrush every day, but we're also going to use, a paintbrush every day also. And so she had shared a story about this doctor that had come in, and he was a doctor, of course, but he used to be creative whenever he was younger. And after he talking with this particular artist, and she told him about the three brushes, he began to do that. And as he did, he realized that he was an artist. He was an artist a long time ago, but he never really dove into that. He never really gave it time and space to really develop. And lo and behold, he is an artist now and not a doctor, which is crazy. But it began to show me that so many times we have stuff inside of us, and we show up to the scene every single day hoping and wanting something more, hoping and wanting something better, hoping and wanting something to change, but we're showing up to the scene as someone else and not the person that God created. And within that space of showing up as somebody else, we're not being fulfilled. We don't feel happiness. We don't find joy. We are just really going in and out of every day in and day out, just going through the motions, just doing the things just to get by, just showing up because it's going to pay the bills. And we absolutely need careers and jobs that pay the bills 100%. However, there's a part inside of us that's aching. It's longing for something. It is wanting something more. And that's my pup coming in the office, and I can hear him. He's coming to the Real Talk. Anyways, there's something that's inside of you that wants to come alive, but you've been stuffing it down for so long to where you wake up every day and you're wearing this mask, that this mask is over you, and you're just showing up and you're covered. Like the person that you are on the inside, the person that God created, is covered up by this mask. It's not a physical mask. It's a mask that you put on yourself when you show up to the scene as somebody different from the woman or the man that God created. And so the question is, what have you laid down? What have you put down? And so many times we put down things based on somebody else's wishes for us, somebody else's goals, or their design for our life, what they want for us, what they didn't do, and they wish they had courage and strength and boldness to do. They put it on us because they can kind of see our potential, but they don't know what exists inside. Or they might see what exists inside, but they think that what they want for you is best. And so many of us are living that kind of life, what our parents wanted for us because that was best for us. And we're miserable. We're absolutely miserable. And so, like I said, the question is, what have you laid down? Did you put down your ability to play a musical instrument and not even have to study music? Did you put down the ability to play a piano because you woke up one day when you were small and you just really knew how to play? Or you took lessons and you just really loved it and it brought you so much joy, but doing that and making a career out of it or pursuing that seemed dumb or stupid or childish, or it wasn't the adult thing to do, so you put it down. Could it be that you laid down a gift of woodworking where you were skilled at working a saw, where you were skilled at creating these things that you would see and bringing it to life through wood and carpentry and building, but you laid it down because it got too hard? Or somebody else said that you should go do this instead. Or somebody invited you to this position and it seemed like it was great, but it was actually a distraction to take you away from the thing that you were passionate about. Could it be that you laid down your gift and your love and your passion for baking? And you couldn't pursue it because it seemed so hard. It seemed so hard. You saw these other people doing it and making it happen, but you couldn't see that happening for yourself. And so you laid it down. Could it be that you draw the most beautiful pictures and you shared it with someone and they said crazy, harsh words that did not produce life, that made you think twice about picking up that pencil again, or that charcoal again, or that color pencil again, or that marker again? And because of those words that somebody told you and spoke over your art, spoke over that thing that you were creating, spoke over that thing that you loved, it hurt. And you begin to show up, well, they don't like it. Especially when we love someone and we value them and we hope that they would support us in the thing that we love and are passionate about. But they show up to us putting down the very thing that we love. It's so hard. It's really hard. And it's also hard to pick it back up because all you can hear in your ear are those words repeating over and over and over and over. And it's like a script that never stops. You want it to stop, but it just keeps going and keeps going. And then you just lay it all down, you box it up, you throw it away, you give it away to somebody else, and you just go throughout life doing something else because that has got to be better than what you were doing before, right? You guys, it's time to pick it back up again. Pick up that thing that you laid down because it's going to bring you joy. It's going to, it's going to fulfill you. It's going to do something. It's not just for us either. And I mentioned this, a few weeks ago on another episode of Real Talk Tuesday, that The gifts inside of us are not just for us, they are for other people. It's to bring beauty and life and so much more to the world. And the things that we're able to do is uniquely to us. So there may be 5 other pianists, but no, not one of them plays like the other. There may be 50 carpenters, but each one of them are different. They may produce similar things. They obviously all have saws and woodworking tools and equipment, but when they show up to produce, each one of their items is going to be different. Each one of them has a people group that they've been called to. Each one of them will be able to bring life and joy and happiness to somebody else's life. The things that we've been given is not just for us. And I've had to talk to myself about this too, because even though I paint and I'm creating and I am doing things a lot, I came to the realization, and even though I'm sharing pictures of my art some, I've come to the realization that I have not been putting my art out there. I've been hiding it just a bit. And that's not good, because it's not for me to hide, it's to put out there so that it can bless somebody else's life. And so that it can, in turn, bring me income and bring me fulfillment and bring me joy, but also bring someone else joy. What is it that you laid down? It's time to pick it back up again. And I want to read, if I can find it. There was a scripture, and I think it left me. But anyways, stir up the gift, stir up everything. There's a saying that you fan the flame, you stir up the gift, you bring life back to it. Whatever you laid down, it's time to pick it up. So how do you pick it back up if you laid it down? You start one day at a time. You start small. It's easy to get into a place where and you beat yourself up because you laid it down and you realize, oh my gosh, that's something that I was passionate about. Oh my goodness, this is a thing that I forgot about, that I did when I was little, and I loved it so much, and I laid it down. It's easy to get into that place where you think you're behind and you beat yourself up because you laid it down, or you beat yourself up because these people came against you in your life. We're going to have things that come against the very thing that we're supposed to be doing. Much will come against it, but it's up to us to stand in position and let it know that this is valuable, this has purpose, and this will glorify my Father. And so therefore I am going to stand here and I am going to continue doing the thing that He put inside of me, as long as He says so. So you get to stand against the things that are coming against you. And just because something came against you in the past doesn't mean that you've lost time. It's okay. You pick it back up right where you are and start stirring it back up again. It may feel very foreign. It may feel like nothing is coming together, but you have to show up. You have to, little by little, day by day, make little progress. Take little steps towards it. Make goals and go after those goals and say, you know what? This is the thing that I loved. This is the thing that the Lord gave me. I am going to do something with it. And then you go do something with it. For me, I know I've shared this story before. When I was a teenager, that I created a lot. I did a lot of creative stuff. I would get into these creative fits, and that's a 2-part thing. I would get into these creative fits, and it was like I was not necessarily dying in the inside, but just something was inside of me. I needed to get it out. There was this energy that I had on the inside, creative energy, but it felt like I was boxed in and I couldn't do anything, especially if I wasn't creating. And so in those days when I was younger, I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know what it was. And many of those days, like I felt like that for a long period of time, whether it was like the time it started until the time I went to bed, because I didn't know what it was. Now, when I feel that, I know it's a call to go and create something. I've got to get up. I've got to stop what I'm doing and go create something, whether it's painting, whether it's knitting, whether it's hand lettering, going outside to build something, whatever that thing is, I have got to go do it. And a lot of times, many of us are feeling that way. We have this creative energy that is pent up, and we don't even know what it is. We have no idea what it is, but it's making us go crazy in the inside, and it feels like you're boxed in and you can't get out, but you want to get out, right? And so go do something with that. It's calling you to go and create. You've been gifted with this beautiful gift to create something. Go do it. Give yourself permission to be childlike, to be curious, to explore, to pick it back up again, to say yes to the thing that you once loved and were passionate about. I promise you, it might feel a little bit weird, but it's going to bring you some joy. It's going to bring you joy. Here it is. I got it. That scripture came back. It's part of the my friend and I were actually talking about it yesterday. It's part of the parable of the 10 talents. Or parable of the talents, really. But I wanted to give the exact part. I know it's from Matthew 25, verse 14, and it goes down to like another area. Let me see if I can find it. It goes all the way to Matthew 25, 14 through 30. And so there's an area in, say, verse 20. Or 21, well, 20 to 21, where it says, And he who had received 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 more talents. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. I lost it. Enter into the joy of your master. And I think there's different translations that say enter into the joy of your salvation, enter into the joy of just different things, but enter into the joy. And so a lot of times whenever we have a gift, and basically we end up being the guy that buried the gift, buried the talents, buried the money that was in this parable, and we can't produce anything off of something that's buried. We have to dig it up and do something with it. So as the guy that had 5 talents began to do something with that 5, he gained 5 more. As the guy began to do something with the 2 that he was given, he gained 2 more. Are you seeing the pattern here? As I gave back to God the gift, my photography gift, and because actually my computer had blown up not really blown up, it set like a little fire. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna give that back to you. You do it. You do whatever you will with it. And as I began to I still used my camera, but I wasn't going the route that I thought I was gonna go. And so I started digging into some other things, digging into some more. And I started writing. I started producing writing that went with nature photography, and I started producing like hand lettering that went with painting. I picked up painting after that aspect too. Like all of these different things begin to happen because I stirred up the one gift or the 2 gifts or whatever it started with. There was quite a few. And I stirred them up and I did something with them. And then more began to happen. And so many of us are unfulfilled because we laid down the very thing that the Lord had given us that would advance His kingdom, but also bring us joy, and we would have joy every single day as we did the things that He placed inside of us. And I do find that to be true because I can go days, weeks without painting, without taking pictures, without doing something creative, and I can feel very miserable. But the moment that I go back to my paintbrush and I get a canvas, whether I'm adding to the collection that I'm creating or if I'm creating something new, I like something's released and I've got joy and I've got this contentment and I feel fulfilled and I just feel so good because I've done something creative. There's many people that don't understand the act of creativity. And many people think and believe that creating and creativity is only within a certain arena, but it's massive. It's huge. It's like, I don't even have all of the words for the different types of creative things that we can dive into. And the very bottom line is many of us say that we're not creative. And I say this all the time, especially when I do painting classes, because I'll have some people that want to paint and they sign up and they immediately start talking about themselves because they look at themselves and then they begin to compare themselves to other people just for no reason, really. And they begin to say stuff like, well, I'm not creative, so I'm not sure what's going to happen, or I don't have a creative gene in my body, or just stuff like that. And I tell them, you may not have the creative gift that somebody else has, but you are creative to a certain extent because your Father in heaven is creative. The very first book of the Bible tells us that God created, like we are a creation of God, right? So our very being is a creative gift, is an act of creativity. So if our Father is creative and He dwells inside of us, guess what? There's creativity that exists inside you too. It may not be the calling on your life. It may not be that you're to pursue it like somebody else would, but you do have creative gifts inside of you. And so we can just stop saying that I'm not creative. That's comparison. And you're beginning to compare yourself to somebody else. We're going to stop that, right? But anyhow, I hope you guys are encouraged and just challenged just a little bit. Like, whatever you've laid down, ask yourself, what have you laid down? What did you used to do when you were a little kid that brought you so much joy and that you were so happy? And if you don't remember, ask somebody, like ask your parents. I mean, if you feel like it, if they are people that you can approach and ask, or even just have courage, even if they're not people that you can approach and ask, if you know they may have something to say, ask them anyways, and just stand in the position of, I'm only here to get what I need to know so that I can begin to pick up what I've laid down and actually know what I used to like when I was a kid. And so, when you find out what that might be, or if it comes back to you, begin to dig into it. Dig into it again, because it was put inside of you for a reason. It's not dumb. It's not stupid. It's not childish. It's the thing that God placed inside of you for a purpose. And we don't want to be like the guy in the parable of the talents that buried it. We want to be like the guy with the 5 or the 2 that did something with it. Okay? So make sure that you pick it back up. Challenge yourself to stir it up, to pick it back up, to dream again, to sit with the Lord and ask Him, what do you want me to do with this? And I know that He's going to speak to you. I know that He's going to speak to you. And so, you guys, be encouraged. Be encouraged that you're not behind. You are not like late to the game. There's plenty of time to pick it back up. There's plenty of time to dive in again. And I just also decree over you that time will be redeemed because it was stolen from you. And so I'm asking that your time will be redeemed. You guys, I hope that this spoke to someone today and that you just get back to the woman that God created. Okay? And I'm actually going to read a poem to you before we get off of here. Because I mentioned earlier that it was time to come alive. And the painting collection, the canvas collection that I'm working on is called Come Alive. And there's a poem that I wrote with it that is for you. It's encouraging. I have on a piece of paper, but I don't want to get up and go get it. Let me see if I can find it on my computer. There's quite a few poems that went with it. Give me 1 second. It's going to come. Or it may not. Anyhow, I'm going to read this other one. It's not Come Alive, but it's something else. I haven't given it a name, I don't think. But I read this one at one of our painting classes, and people were asking for copies of it after I got done reading it. And so here we go. You have allowed the little things to hold you back. Some things that seem too big and too hard. So you shrank back and you told yourself, I just can't. There are things you have done over and over, but it becomes so hard when it's time to put yourself out there. You've been thinking that you have to be perfect before you start. You think you have to have the best tools or something more than you already have in order to start. You allowed perfectionism to take root in your heart, and you sat, and you became frozen and couldn't move. You allowed time to pass by. You hoped, you wished, you longed for something to change, hoping for one day where you would be bold enough, courageous enough to make a move. Then one day you realize everything was already inside of you for you to start. You realized and remembered everything you walked through in the past, and the words, I am brave and I am courageous, rolled off your tongue. You released perfectionism and realized that there was beauty in the journey. You said yes and started right where you were and began to come alive. You realized that you were never alone, that Jesus was right there with you all along. You got a pep in your step and began to hold your head up high. You tried on boldness and confidence and loved how well it fit on you. You walked into the truth of who you are and you never looked back. You guys, be encouraged. And again, what have you laid down? It's time to pick it up and come alive again. I will talk to you guys next time. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday.